Welcome back to the weekend wrap. It's been a bit of an eventful weekend, more ways than one for me, but there was a lot of action that came on, so we're going to talk about a bit of it. I guess it's only right to do it in sequential order, so we'll start with Friday. So Lyndon got second round KO victory over Joe McIntyre on the Wasserman card that took place on Channel 5. There was not really much to say about the performance. As Lyndon said in the interview prior to it, that fight is as easy or as hard as he decides to make it. I thought that he might want to get a couple rounds in, because it's only his second fight of the year. He hasn't boxed since prior to the September bout he hadn't boxed since December last year. So I thought he wanted to get a little bit of rounds in, but he clearly wasn't, getting paid for overtime, and I guess he moves on now to that nice Christmas dinner and that little break before the new year. I saw something out on Twitter from Cesar saying that there's something big happening for him at the start of 2023. So let's see what happens with regards to that. But congrats to Lyndon Arthur, another victory on the road to recovery from the Anthony Yard loss, and we see what happens moving forward. Also, as I stated in the short, Josh Kelly totally dominates Troy Williamson. Masterful performance, outclassed him, I won't say outfought him, but he out-wilied him, just made it a very easy night, quote unquote. Now, a lot of people said it was 12-0. I disagreed. I did actually think that Troy Williamson did win a couple rounds in there. I think I said that I gave him 3 rounds. Now, shout out to Chris Andre. I haven't forgotten. I did say I was going to rewatch the fight on Friday night and give you my scorecard and tell you which rounds I gave to Troy. Haven't been able to do that yet, but I'm actually going to do it as soon as this video is over. And I will come back to you on Twitter with regards to that, or I'll put it in one of the comments of your videos so that you've got my scorecard there. But it was a very, very good performance from Josh Kelly, a much better performance than I thought it was going to be. I got it wrong. I didn't think he was going to get knocked out like a lot of people did, but I did think that he would be a front runner, do well sort of the first 4 to 5 rounds, and Troy Williamson would kind of just grind him down, wear him out sort of from round like 6 up to round 12, and just sort of be the busier guy, and maybe just have Josh Kelly more hanging on, to sort of win a decision just over the distance, or a possible stoppage really late. But that's kind of how I saw it, and realistically it was a total opposite. It was literally as easy as you want for Kelly, apart from a couple of hairy rounds, which obviously I gave to Williamson, and the head clash or a punch, I'm not even sure it was, that caused the cut on the side of his head on the 11th round, which obviously then could have potentially, been a lot worse if there was more time to work, or if he didn't have his wits about him, especially if there was any concussion or wooziness. But look, overall, Josh Kelly does the full rebound after the Avanesian loss, now the British super welterweight or light middleweight champ, however you want to look at it. There's got to be big things moving forward for him, and Calisalan's also said he thinks he's going to be the future of boxing on Channel 5. So let's see what he's got planned for 2023. But congrats to Josh Kelly, and that was a pretty good card. I had fun watching that while it was on. Okay, so next, if we move over to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, again, I got the right people winning the fights, but the methods just wasn't as I thought. For instance, with Yvan Mendy and Denis Berinchyk, I thought that Berinchyk would be too sharp and basically take advantage of all the battles that Yvan Mendy's had, sort of land something hard that Yvan Mendy didn't see, wasn't really prepared for, and sort of take him out or get a stoppage type victory, towards the end of that fight. Now, funny enough, I saw the American broadcast of this, and Andre Ward pretty much said the same thing that I said, is that you've got a guy with this much sort of mileage and battle damage in front of you, and you haven't decided to step on the gas and apply the necessary pressure to get him out, because there were moments in time where we did have him a little bit hurt in that fight. Now, Yvan Mendy's a super tough guy, so I didn't think it was going to be, you know, a straight one punch knockout, but I just thought there would be an accumulation. Having watched the fight, Berinchyk was a little bit more lethargic and sluggish. Didn't really sit down on any shots from what I saw, but the movement was there and the punch placement and selection was there, which just basically had Mendy throwing at shadows a lot of the time throughout the fight, based on what I saw. So it was a good performance from Berinchyk, but at 34, unless he gets a title shot next or is guaranteed won the fight after next, it's kind of hard to see what he's going to do moving forward at the lightweight division. And for Yvan Mendy, I mean, look, it's another loss on the record, but he only really loses to really good people. So if he wants to carry on, got no problems with that. You know, he's still very, very serviceable. He's a top level gatekeeper for, you know, those higher levels, and if you get past him, then you are at the world stage. And if he wants a couple more big paydays and he gets the relevant money for what he wants to do, then you know, big ups to him. So no issues with that. Congrats to Mendy for seeing the final bell. Berinchyk didn't do as I thought he would, but it was still a pretty convincing victory. Moving over now to the Daniel Dubois and Kevin Lerena fight. Now, I told people in my previous video, and I told people on the breakdown last week, that this was going to be a test for Daniel Dubois. I said that unless he catches Lerena with something heavy in the first 3 rounds, this fight is gonna go rounds, and Daniel's gonna have to work hard, and essentially he might get the stoppage victory somewhere around sort of 9-10. Now, the first part of my statement actually took place, but just not in the sense of how I was expecting. So first things first, first round, Daniel Dubois gets dropped 3 times. And I say that the first one, he got hit at the top of the head, busted up the equilibrium, and he fell over. First one. But the second one, a punch landed, but his feet and his legs were unsteady underneath him. It didn't look like it was an equilibrium. It looked like he'd actually done something to his knee, like he had jarred his knee. He couldn't really put much pressure on it, so when he hopped back after the shot, he basically took the knee strategically to try and get some feeling back in the leg. That's what it looked like. At the end of the round, he gets knocked down again, and before the ref's about to start counting, because you've got the 3 knockdown rule, and I believe that was in effect, but you know, you can't get ruled a knockdown after the bell goes. But on the screen, from what I saw, and I may have been looking at a different screen from others, because again, I saw an American broadcast, but it looked like there was 7 seconds left on the clock, and as soon as he's gone down, the bells rang to end the round. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe, like I said, maybe I saw a different time from what was actually there in the crowd. Maybe someone who was there or saw the BT Sport box office one can, you know, inform me of if it was actually 3 minutes or not. But from what I saw, it looked like there was 7 or 8 rounds left to go, 7 or 8 seconds left to go at that round, and realistically it should have been, you know, waved off based on the 3 knockdown rule. That being said, second round was very strange, because Kevin Lerena, after applying a lot of pressure and actually throwing a lot of punches in the first, threw virtually nothing in the second. He didn't, I'm not saying I expect him to bulldoze and rush Daniel Dubois, but he didn't apply any front foot pressure. He didn't sort of, you know, bob and weave side to side to get into range. He didn't quicken up his feet. He just literally just walked. He was just walking Daniel down, allowing Daniel to get his senses back, get his legs back underneath him, you know, probe that jab, you know, and I even sort of walk him into right hands, walk him into body shots. It was just weird. It's almost as if, and I'm not saying this is the case, so let's not, but it's almost as if he was paid to put in some work, but if the work got too bothersome, to back off. You know, like we sort of, you know, it's like there was a script and he was paid to read the script, and he deviated from the script in the first round, so then he had to go back onto the script in the second. That's kind of what it seemed like, because he did hardly anything in the second round at all, to the point where you've got someone massively hurt and you don't try to capitalize on quote unquote your biggest moment. It was strange, really strange. But look, credit to Daniel Dubois, because he didn't fold, he didn't crumble under pressure and wilt and retire in the corner. He managed to get himself back together after the second round. Third round came, you know, he was probing behind the jab, and then Lerena just stepped forward and Dubois managed to just walk him onto a straight right, straight through the guard, into the nose. Lerena's down. Now, after this, I don't know if he was massively stunned, because this part was just weird. He was literally on his feet, threw nothing, didn't tuck up. He was just literally just standing there like he was just a punching bag. He was just there to be hit, which I thought was kind of odd. However, right at the end of the round, what I noticed, and I'm sure other people must have noticed this as well, when Daniel Dubois was, you know, landing on him on the ropes, Kevin Lerena countered him with a short check hook to the jaw, which buckled Daniel Dubois' legs again. His punch resistance is fading quite badly already, and if Lerena had you know, carried on and capitalized on that, it might have been an interesting scenario. But he then got caught with a hellacious uppercut after that, which jolted his head. He got hit with a straight right, and he sank into the ropes. But this was after the bell. He got hit with 2 shots, I think, after the bell had actually sounded, sank into the ropes, and then the ref jumps in and waves it off. But I'm like, why did the ref wave it off after the bell, but didn't wave off Dubois after getting knocked down 3 times in the first round? Something there's a little fishy to me. Don't get me wrong, Lerena was out of it at that point, but he could have had a minute to recover. Let the corner assess him, let the doctor assess him, and decide if that's the case. But yeah, that to me didn't really sit right, so I don't really know how to take that. But that being said, as I said, that's not a knock on Daniel Dubois, that's just very odd on the perspective of Kevin Lerena and then the referee afterwards. But congratulations to Daniel. He might want to put a pause on them Dillian White call-outs though, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he's ready for that work. And I said that Kevin Lerena was a good test, but like, Kevin Lerena ain't Dillian White, and as much as people might think Dillian's faded, yeah, if he catches you the way that Lerena did, he's not letting you off the hook. So yeah, maybe we go down a level from there. I wasn't really interested in that Fabio Wardley fight before, but now I am. Wardley against Dubois for that British and WBA regular title might be a tasty one, and if Joe Joyce vacates the European as well, you could put the European title on the line also. I think we need to get that one. I think that needs to be the hashtag, Dubois Wardley, moving forward. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought about that. I thought the fight itself was entertaining but very strange over the 3 rounds that it lasted. Next, moving over to that Matchroom DAZN card in Phoenix, Arizona. What was that? Fran Estrada Chocolatito 3. Yeah, we'll talk about that one in a moment. First off though, I want to give a shout out to Diego Pacheco. Now, I haven't watched the before the bell part. I need to watch that because there's some fights that I was really keen to see which I was unable to watch at the time. But Diego Pacheco, I definitely think he's a star in the making. On the level of sort of a Dan Azim in terms of potential and like where he can go, but that kid's got some crazy power and he's very humble and just wants to learn every day. So I think that in itself puts him in good stead, and I can definitely see him being a future star. In terms of Julio Cesar Martinez and Samuel Camona, that was an entertaining fight. It was interesting. Sort of the first 5-6 rounds, like Camona was pretty much just showing levels above above Martinez. Movement, pot shotting, you know, sort of couple combinations here and there, but it was mainly like a proper pure boxer versus a boxer puncher, no, even a pressure fighter, where the pressure fighter normally gets on top, but he was moving very well, and then it seems to have hurt his right hand at some point in the 4th or the 5th round, because from he stopped throwing that, Martinez capitalized, pounced on him, and then sort of Camona just ended up, he ran for a good portion of those rounds. Now I'm not advocating to sit in the pocket with one hand, but even just to like control it behind the jab, just move that jab, like stick and move. But he was just on his bike for a good 4 or 5 rounds, and Martinez was just winning off of aggression alone. Plus he landed some vicious body shots and some wild swinging head shots as well. But Camona was tough, and he stayed in there basically, didn't wilt under the pressure, ended up losing a unanimous decision. Maybe at some point they might run that back, and to be honest, I actually think he might be able to beat Martinez fully, at full health. But it was an alright fight overall. Now to the main event. So I was a bit conflicted with this one, because I said that Chocolatito KOs Estrada this time. We saw how Estrada looked in his last fight again. What was the guy's name? Argis. Like that was his tune-up fight after 15 months out the ring with COVID and long COVID effects supposedly, and he went life and death with his tune-up. And then we saw what Chocolatito done to Martinez. It just looked, everything just lined up to say that Estrada is there for the taking, and Chocolatito is going to take him out. But inexplicably, Chocolatito, we know that he can start slow, but to start slow over the first 2 rounds when you already know what this guy is about didn't make any sense. I know that they say in the corner that they don't necessarily plan for any person in particular, they just adjust the game plan on the fly once they have a look at the person. But you've had 24 rounds with this brother before, so why do you need another look? He's not showing you anything different, the same as you're not going to show him anything different. The only thing is about is who can impose their game plan more effectively. So I felt like those 2 rounds, those first 2, were definitely a detriment to him, and clearly the reason why he lost on the scorecards. Because I actually, I just finished watching the fight. Obviously I knew the scores, I knew the result. To be honest, that draw, a draw was a fair result, but I had actually had it scored 5-6 and 1 even to Chocolatito. So I had it 115-114. I had the first round to Estrada, second round to Estrada, third round was even, fourth round to Estrada, fifth round to Chocolatito, sixth round to Estrada, seventh round, eighth round, ninth round, 10th round Chocolatito, 11th round Estrada, 12th round Chocolatito. I think that was the order I had it. Either way, it came out to 5, 6 and 1 even. But unlike the second fight, I've got absolutely no complaints about Estrada winning this fight. It was well deserved. He moved well, he boxed well on the back foot. He wasn't as accurate as the commentary was making it seem, but he was a lot more effective in the early stages, and then he stayed competitive throughout. So whereas the last time I do think Chocolatito was screwed, this time I don't think he was screwed. It was one of those decisions that could have gone either way, so I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I honestly think the draw probably was the fairest result, 6 rounds apiece, but to be honest, you could also have had it 7-5. Just the 7-5 Estrada card I had no issues with. The 116-112 one, there's no way you can tell me Chocolatito only won 4 rounds. But 5 rounds I can take that, and then 5 rounds the other way, and then the draw I can take that. But either way, they're talking about Estrada Chocolatito 4. not for me, because I don't really think that either of them are going to get any better. This one was a sharp market decline from the second fight, which was, you know, sort of, it was a step above the first, but only in terms of because they were both a lot more seasoned, and kind of just at that perfect peak of each one. I think both of them are now past that peak, and to see it again, let's just allow Estrada to take this one. We all know Chocolatito is the GOAT in those lower divisions. You know, this loss, because it's so disputed and it's a majority, it doesn't really tarnish the record. I would actually like Chocolatito in his next fight to fight Sarificat Sorong Vasai again for the trilogy, to see if he can get back a victory from him. After that, call it a day. If you could say that you've beat every guy that you've been in the ring with, then that's how you can hang your head. Even though you can't necessarily say that you've beat every guy in a rematch. But if you could say that you hold the victory of every guy you've been in the ring with, that's a real good achievement. So that's what I'd like to see him do next. But look, all those flyweights, those super flyweights, and the junior flyweights, all give you crazy action. And it was it was a really good card. And again, I feel like it was the card of the night. Call me biased if you want. It's the only card I watched all the way through. But yeah, I think that was, you know, bang for your buck, you know, value for money. I definitely put that one up there. But yeah, you guys, let me know what you think, and there'll be a couple of videos out this week. I've got a few things interesting I want to talk about. So yeah, we'll leave it there, and that's the weekend wrapped up, and I look forward to chatting to you lot soon in the future. Peace.